You are Bhat, MD of Dalton Capital, now joins in. Mr. Bhat, hi, good morning. Good to have you in our studios. Should one expect a pre-budget rally, or would it be a good time to book profits? Because the market has had a one-way rally, and over the last few days, we have seen some consolidation.
I'm not in that camp of the pre-budget rally because, I mean, the pre-budget rally, if at all, it would be probably just before the budget, not so far. Budget is quite some time hence. But before that, we will have probably international cues, especially what is likely to happen in Ukraine and the like. I think, and of course Iraq. These two things will probably influence the market's direction in the meantime, until probably the next about 10 days.
Okay, so is this Iraq situation, does this warrant a steep correction for the market? Because in the past, geopolitical issues have been, fall because of geopolitical issues has been a buying opportunity. Would this be different this time around?
It could be a buying opportunity depending on the longevity of the Iraq problem and the price of oil. I mean, 115 is a very important mark, and it's crossed $115 per barrel. So that could probably bring forth some nervousness. So therefore, I think how oil behaves, how Iraq plays out would be important. It's a buying opportunity only when you see the writing on the wall that this might end. So if it is going to deepen further, then I don't know whether there's a buying opportunity.
Okay. Mr. Bhat, good morning. Thank you for joining us. The government has gone ahead and taken a politically sensitive decision, which is hiking of the freight as well as the railway fares. Don't you think that would enthuse the bulls?
Well, that is certainly a very, very positive sign. But I think some statements that I see is that in the budget there may not be a huge sort of subsidy cut on the oil subsidy issue, because that is the one that needs to be addressed. Probably because of the sort of protests that have been there, they are a bit sort of concerned, and so therefore, and the steep inflation as it is. So I don't know whether they would chicken out. But if they go ahead and cut oil subsidies in the budget, that I think would be a very bullish sign for the market.
Okay. So if you had to, line out a range for the month of July, I know it's very tough because things could go anyway given the budget, given the earning season, monsoon, etc. But what could the ballpark range be for this market now?
Well, it's a big budget is there, so therefore one can't be really sure. But as long as the budget is sort of moderate, it is. I mean, if it does completely address the issue of subsidies, then I think it could go quite well. I mean, probably 8,000 is not an impossibility. If they go the whole hog in terms of addressing the problems of the subsidy regime. But if they sort of soft pedal on that and give some sort of a moderate budget, then I think it will probably be not dramatically different from here. Probably plus minus 150 points or something. That's about it.
So how would you play the oil and gas space in that case? Because we've seen BPCL has been the top index gainer this year, 60% higher. ONGC has been re-rated. That's far more important stock for the market, up 45%. Would you still buy these stocks at current levels, or would you now wait for budget, maybe lighten up some of your positions and then add later?
I think lightening up may be a good sort of strategy, because till the run up to the budget, we have the situation in Iraq is probably getting worse. So therefore, if there is going to be involvement of the US, and if there is going to be capturing some oil wells and stuff like that, I think oil prices can go up. So I think it's much better to lighten up now and wait for what happens to subsidies in the budget.
The other issue which came back last week was there was some shift to defensives in portfolio. IT stocks did well. Of course, currency has depreciated a bit, but pharma stocks made a comeback, and you saw some profit booking in the likes of L&T. How would you position your portfolio now? Do you think it warrants now to get some IT, pharma back in portfolio?
Yeah, IT has been sort of been doing badly ever since the election. So therefore, I think it had sort of come into sort of buying sort of a range, and so that is why people started buying a bit of IT. But there is no great case for IT to be for one to be overweight on IT. Okay. But one needs to be something like being neutral on IT, not dramatically overweight.
Okay. So on the downside, Mr. Bhat, I know you are worried about the entire Iraq situation, but on the downside, what level do you think would be an attractive level, both on a valuation basis as well as for the near term for investors to get back into this market?
I think a 5% correction is the best that you can expect. Even if, say, for example, oil prices go up, a couple of dollars more from here. I think that is all that you can expect, because the real test of the new government is the budget. So therefore, because that is the economic policy statement of the new government. So therefore, till then, I think a correction more than that would not be warranted, unless things really go out of hand in Iraq. Because after that, the whole market will evaluate the credentials of the new government based on what they say in the budget. So whether they are going the whole hog in terms of reform, or whether it is going to be more of the same like the last government, I think that is a decision that the market will make post-budget. So till then, I don't think it will really fall dramatically, because there is still huge expectations from the new government.
Okay. Apart from the oil and gas space, which is, the key space that everyone is looking at, what other sectors do you think one should anticipate any reforms in this budget?
Well, on the public sector banks, I think something dramatic needs to be done. I mean, whatever they have provided for recapitalization is chicken feed. They really need to address that issue in a holistic manner, whether they're going to really address the issue of recapitalization completely, or otherwise they are going to let them reduce the pace of growth, because they really cannot grow at 15-20% if they are not able to get more capital. So I think that is one important issue. That is one space one needs to watch out for. Or otherwise, a policy statement about whether they are really going the whole hog in terms of reducing their holding in public sector banks to less than 51%. I think these are the issues that need to be tackled by the budget. And if there's a forward movement there, I think there's a good case for even public sector banks to be re-rated post-budget.
Okay, the mid-cap stocks have been doing well of late. Any particular segments where you find quite a bit of value and you would put fresh money?
Well, the mid-cap IT companies probably offer some value, because they are really treated like any other resources company, as it were, in terms of valuation. And there is a niche where they specialize in, and I think some of them might offer a reasonable amount of value.
Okay. So, you spoke about IT, but what about other defensive pockets like pharma, etc.? Slowly and steadily, we are seeing, increased participation there as well. Is that a space to also reckon with now?
Yeah, I think so, because till the budget, till we know the real contours of the policy regime that we will get post-budget, I think people will start taking refuge there a bit, largely because they're not participating. They in fact corrected post-election, and also that the cyclicals have had a fantastic run. So therefore, there might be some people who would do some sector rotation and sort of wait in the sidelines by investing in these defensives.
So for the rest of the year, Mr. Bhat, do you think that the best of the market rally is already behind us, and give and take, even some positive statements in the budget, the pace of appreciation will not be as high as what we saw in the first half?
Well, I think that's a reasonable assessment of the situation, provided the budget is not EPO-making. If the budget is EPO-making a 90-91 like budget, I think there's a huge upside possible. So I think they have. The budget is the one where we will really know whether they're really going to take a dramatic quantum leap in terms of addressing the ills of the economy, or otherwise it's more of the same. So I think if it's more of the same, there may not be much of an appreciation. I think most of the appreciation we've had. But if it's a quantum jump in terms of a vision for the economy, I think there is a huge upside still available.
Mr. Bhat, how would you approach a name like ITC? Because over the weekend, the health minister has made a point that he would pitch for a substantial jump in taxes for cigarettes. In the past, of course, ITC always has been subdued ahead of budget, but in hindsight has always been a buying opportunity. How would you approach this stuff now?
Well, if there's a huge increase in excise, I'm sure that is a buying opportunity, because if anybody has pricing power in this market, it is them. So therefore, they will certainly pass it on, and these smokers who are addicted to this, they'll keep paying. So therefore, I don't think, there'll always be an opportunity if there's a huge massive increase in excise. Of course, I don't know whether that would really come through to the extent that the market now is factoring it. But if whenever it actually happens, I think it will correct more than what it should really be.
Yeah, I don't think any kind of price hike has ever deterred any smoker from going ahead with what they do. But what about United Spirits, Mr. Bhat? Because that one's been a very interesting mover. Last week was so volatile, but now that the trigger is behind us, for the longer term investor, what should one do with United Spirits?
Well, I think one could probably hold on, because it is going to be a different ball game altogether with the MNC being in charge. But I don't know whether there's a huge argument on the valuation side, but it is just that they will probably integrate this company into their global operations, and probably there is certain value there because the MNC premium would certainly be there. So I don't know whether it will fall dramatically after this event, but it will probably take some time for it to really perform very well from here.
All right, Mr. Bhat, we leave it at that. Thank you for joining us and giving us a little bit of a cautionary statement on the situation in Iraq, not completely out of the way. So that's something that you need to watch for.